All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of just three guys hanging out, messing around, talking all things theme parks, movies, entertainment. We're going to have some Halloween Horror Night fun on today's episode. We're going to dive into some Universal monsters and some tricks and some treats, and we're going to get going. All right, guys, well, to get things started, you know how I like to throw you both a little bit of a curveball. And since we are going over some Universal monsters and some more horror themed, I have a trivia question or two for the two of you. So let's get it started. Ready?
Yeah.
You guys look so excited. Jordan's like, get this done with.
I'm wondering what you're Googling.
We're going to start with an easy one, okay? Which classic horror film features a character named Norman Bates?
Psycho, come on now.
Well, good. See, that was an easy one. Good. Okay, let's pick it up a little bit. In The Omen, what is the name of the child who is the Antichrist?
Damien.
Jordan, we got 1-1. I like it so far.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go over it.
Follow-up question. Who is the composer of The Omen?
Same one as The Exorcist? I don't know.
That one dude,
Jerry
that one
Goldsmith.
film, and what was it?
But he was Jewish, but Jerry Goldsmith.
Good. Okay, cool. All right. We're going to go a little bit. We're going to
It's
go
the
old
only
now.
Oscar he ever won. Fun fact, which is a shame because he was nominated a couple dozen times, but the only one he actually won was The Omen.
Oh, didn't know that. And now I've learned something new today. The more you know.
Uh-huh.
Don't hijack my shtick, man. Who played the Wolfman in the 1941 film The Wolfman?
Boris Karloff.
Wrong.
The
Hang
other
on, let me
guy.
Google it.
It's the other dude.
Without Googling it, Jeremy. Jordan, you
Fine.
got 5 seconds, Jordan. 5.
I can't
4,
remember.
Eric Albert?
3,
No,
2.
Lon Chaney.
Lon Chaney.
Lon Chaney Jr.
Jr.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do one more. We're gonna go a little bit modern. Okay. Who
Oh,
directed the 2018 horror film Hereditary?
that guy who all his movies suck.
Wow, and they're critical because we care already. Okay. Jeremy, you got 5 seconds.
Ari Aster.
There
Yeah.
it is. Okay, let's finish it. Who directed Midsummer?
The same guy. Ari
What's his
Aster.
name? Good. I'm happy you know. It's a trick question.
Yeah,
Okay.
the same guy. No, because all his movies suck.
Okay, I'm gonna switch it to horror villains really quickly, and then we're gonna start the actual show. What is the name of the killer in Saw?
Oh, it's the midget. Hold on. It's
No,
like
no.
Jigsaw.
There it is, Jigsaw. Okay. And Jeremy, to finish this out, Jeremy, this is very fitting for the episode that we're going to get started. In Insidious, what is the name of the demon?
Oh, it's a red.
Nope.
No,
Keep going.
I
try
don't
again.
remember. I don't remember.
You sure? Final answer? Red? Okay.
No, I don't have a final answer because I don't remember.
The demon in Insidious is the lipstick face demon. Interesting choice for a villain's name, but there we go.
Ben, I'm gonna give
Yeah, I
you.
wouldn't have
Wait.
remembered.
I'm giving
You wanna give
Ben
me one?
one question. What is
All
what is the name of the theme song from The Exorcist? Like, what is the title of the song?
Here Comes the Devil. I don't know. What's it called?
Jeremy, you know?
He's Googling it.
Tubular Bells.
Tubular Bells.
Did you know that just because you know that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I Googled it.
All right. Well, look, bringing it back in. Like I said, today we're talking all things Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood. Jeremy and I had the fun pleasure of attending opening or the second week of being opened. We did the Rip Tour, which is super fun. For those that don't know what the Rip Tour is, it is more or less the VIP experience of Halloween Horror Nights. What comes included with it is valet parking. We'll get into that one, Jeremy. Valet parking. Park admission, free water and soda throughout the entire night, front of the line for all attractions and mazes repeated, not just one time, but you can use it multiple times, and a dinner that it's included, which was actually pretty good. You also get special bars throughout the event and a tour guide that will walk you around explaining the houses and things like that. So to kick it off, when you first get there, you're supposed to go through the parking area. I was telling Jeremy this as we were pulling up, and Mr. Jeremy tells me we can't valet the car because I forgot my key. And I was like, okay.
To preface, I drive a Model 3,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and sorry, Ashley, I'm throwing you under the bus. My wife accidentally gave the valet the wrong key when she borrowed my car a long time ago, and she left both keys, hers and mine, for the valet. They only gave her back one, and it wasn't mine. So I have not had my key for like a year, and they're like $20 from Tesla, but then you just got to do it, and I haven't done it yet. So, because I don't need to, I use my phone, and if that's a problem, I call my wife, and she can open it for me. So,
because our wives solve all our problems. That's why.
Because marriage, yes.
Because marriage. So we get there. Jeremy tells me we can't valet park. It actually turns out it was okay because Jeremy, in all fairness, actually had a better parking situation for us. Jeremy is an annual pass holder. Is that what you guys are called, annual pass holders at Universal?
Yeah.
They call it?
Yeah, Universal still calls them annual pass holders.
Okay, so there's Jeremy's annual pass holder, which means parking is included with his pass. So we only had to pay like $20 for preferred parking, which was super cool because the way that Universal Hollywood's laid out, there's Jurassic and like all the big parking lots all the way towards like the end of City Walk, and then you have the Frankenstein lot, which is like right where you get dropped off, and we got to park right in Frankenstein. So we get to the park. What's cool about doing the RIP tour or the VIP tour, doesn't matter which one you're doing, there is a special entrance all the way to the side with a red carpet you get to go through. It has separate entrance, the concierge service. You check in for your tour. They give you a lanyard, which is super cool. It's very specific to your date. So no, you cannot just keep the lanyard and expect it to work multiple times. They are dated. They are very to the point there. Once you check in, you're invited upstairs to their VIP lounge where they have giant couches and some hors d'oeuvres, a lot of water. Our tour time was early, which I did on purpose. Our tour time was at 5 o'clock or 5:15. It was something like that.
5:10.
I was close, somewhere in there.
In the area, yeah.
And I chose that time because of my own past experiences. It was now my third year doing the RIP tour. I've been becoming kind of a horror junkie, if you will, getting more used to getting scared, even though the footage may say otherwise. It's just a fun time. And it's something I typically do with my sister, who is a big horror and haunt fan. She lives and breathes Halloween. It's just who she is, and she loves it. So we do it together, and then we'll go to Scary Farm together. Anyway, we checked in, we get there early, and our tour guide comes around. You're in groups of 10 to 15 people max. So it's a small, intimate experience. The tour guide does a really good job of making everyone feel super comfortable, which is really nice. Ask a little bit of trivia as you're walking around. And the itinerary for the night varies depending on what time you start. So for us, because we got in early and the thing didn't start till about 7 o'clock, we got to go to dinner first, which is awesome. That means that, in my opinion, the food was a little bit fresher.
Can I just throw in really quick before you get to the food, just because I want to use this clip? You guys really enjoyed the bouncy couches that were in the waiting room.
They were really comfy.
They were comfy. And before we get to the clips also, I will say that we had a few tech toys that we were probably having a little too much fun with and gadgets because dads, right? Because dads love their gadgets and gizmos. And Jeremy did not disappoint. He was controlling this camera on his Apple Watch, being like, "Oh, look what I can do!" So
there is a reason why they stick me at the end of a movie to do the music and not throw me on set, because I will literally start touching buttons and playing with all the toys there and like having fun with everything. I'm a nerd, a goofball, and Capricorn, so for me, I will just jump in. And yeah, there was it was the UJI
DJ, wasn't it DJI?
DJI, yeah, DJI. I don't remember the model number.
You had an OSM. Is it the one that takes the phone, or just the one that with the built-in camera?
No, it's the one that takes the phone.
Oh, okay, yeah, the OM5.
Might have been the 5. I might think it might have been the 3.
Okay.
It's a few years old now, the model. But we were having quite a bit of technical difficulties with it throughout the night because I couldn't get the panning to speed up. I couldn't get the panning to speed up on the camera, so what ended up happening was it broke down halfway through Insidious because I was trying to like.
So let's keep it going. So we went to dinner. It was kind of a gourmet buffet. There was pretty much anything you can think of. Jeremy, did you have like a thing that stood out to you that you really enjoyed?
Okay, so I'll give my take on the food. I thought we went down. You go through the line, and first it starts with your salads, your cold dishes. Then you go through and you get to your hot dishes. Then you get to your carving station, and then they have the desserts at the end. So I started with the Caesar salads. I went down, got I don't even remember what else I got, but I just realized by the time I got to the hot foods, my plate was full, and I didn't think to leave room for the corn dogs and chicken nuggets. The corn dogs were awesome. The French fries were The Caesar salad was pretty good. I think my favorite part was the desserts, though. To be honest, it was top tier. They were really good. I don't even think I remembered to take a picture because I think I inhaled it. I was so hungry.
Speaking of desserts, my favorite dessert wasn't even offered at the bar, and at the dessert bar, and I'll get to that. I thought the food was pretty good actually. Over the years, I've had like different variations of this buffet, and this was pretty on par. I thought maybe a little step up, possibly. I definitely had some shrimp. I had some beef, some horseradish, some salad. The corn dog fritters were pretty amazing also. I will say that. I don't know what it is about corn dogs that is so amazing, but
Hey, man, corn dogs are great. Mini corn dogs are even better.
this little poppable little corn dogs like pop.
Mhm.
Super good. And what's cool is that you're seeing other guests, and while you're at the buffet, there's like there's exclusive photo ops, and generally there'll be like a scare actor potentially walking around. Since we were the first one, and the park wasn't like going in like scare mode yet, there were no actors or scare actors going around, so that was fine. But there is a separate bar outside, and I noticed on the menu, and you'll see this later on, there was a specialty drink that was only offered at this bar, and it was $50, and it was like basically a Long Island iced tea, but this one was like this looks really good, and I think people would enjoy seeing it, Ben. So I
Yeah,
did it,
it looked like
and
quite
you
the dessert.
and
He
and you
sacrificed his wallet for the greater good for you, the
and
viewers.
And I
please
like
do
that
more.
buzz. You know what? That buzz lasted me pretty much all night. Also, I was like, I don't need a drink after this. I'm like pretty content. Anyway, so this drink basically comes in like a skull like cup that's like a plastic cup. It's like a Long Island iced tea, but with tequila, like I said. And on top, they garnish it with a full caramel apple that they just pluck right on top. And it was funny because people were coming up to me being like, "Where'd you get that?" I'm
I
like,
would
"Oh,
say
you have
they
to go."
garnished it with a Long Island iced tea.
Yeah, well, it
You
was
go
good. So I don't
for
know.
$50. You actually get a caramel apple garnished with a Long Island iced tea in a souvenir take-home skull mug.
Yeah, which I definitely didn't take home. I was like, I'm
Marketing.
good. Yeah, I'm good. So after there, they give you about an hour at the buffet. From there, you meet your tour guide outside. For us, our official tour started by getting on the Terror Tram first. And again, on the VIP tour, unlike the normal park operations, you get a separate trolley. It's just one car. It's air conditioned, so when it's hot outside, it's very nice actually.
It's air
During the day,
conditioned.
yeah, it's awesome. Uh, the tour guides are really personable, really funny. They really make the experience, in my opinion. They go above and beyond with this knowledge and jokes here and there, and really do a really good job of like kind of spreading out their attention to all the guests. Also, it wasn't just focused on one person or another person, so that was kind of cool. The first stop of our night before we got down to the actual Terror Tram was stopping at Ghostbusters and Insidious, and it was a pretty good way to start the night. It was probably the easiest maze, and probably like I thought like the scariest maze, just because Insidious, the movies are like some of my favorite, and just seeing those people in real life is pretty terrifying.
We start with
Ghost-
Ghostbusters first.
Yeah. So Ghostbusters was super fun, and what's cool about that maze is that they didn't just make it about the last one. So yes, there was a focus, like a heavy focus on Frozen Empire, um, but there was a balance between all the films. I think that Jeremy really enjoyed, if I recall, you saw the car, and you're like, "Hey, that's pretty cool."
Just to go back to is Slime. So I saw Slimer is in there.
Hmm?
He's in multiple parts. He's pretty cool. Is the Stay Puff in the ride? I mean,
Yes,
in the maze.
there's multiple Stay Puffs throughout the ride, up to mischievous fun, if you will. They even had cool swag, and I think in the video you'll see I told Jeremy that he should get it because they couldn't get. So short sightedness of the event, in my opinion, was having something that they've touted as like limited edition exclusive at the event. Jeremy really wanted to get this food item, only to find out that it sold out 40 minutes beforehand, and it was a Stay Puft marshmallow s'more,
Yeah.
and it sold out. And I thought, well, that sucks. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of short sighted not to have enough. So let's keep it going. So the next house after that was the scariest house for me. It was Insidious, and this is where Jeremy definitely had some fun with me. You'll notice that I like to use this phrase a lot when I get nervous, and I say that I'm sweaty. So you'll see this throughout the video that I
You'll
may
see
get a
a
little
sweaty
sweaty. Yeah, you might. I get sweaty. I stress sweat, as they say. So, uh, I don't know how to describe this one other than it's called Insidious: The Further. It incorporates every single movie from the franchise, which is great. It was fun. I know that this house has been done previously, but not like this. This was cool because there were every single villain throughout the universe, right? So the opening of it, you kind of walk in and it tells the story of the first movie, which sets up the lipstick face demon, and then out of nowhere, there's the demon just popping out, and you'll hear me scream. It's okay, I can own it. So, and then throughout the rest of it, it just progressively gets just ugh. Um, what I love about Universal, though, what they do really well, it's not just visually terrifying. They incorporate different senses. So they will have things splash water on you to mimic like blood or vomit, and they'll pump in scent. And if you've seen the last Insidious movie,
God, that was so
there's a whole thing with barf in the latest Insidious movie, and you walk through this bathroom that definitely it lingers. And
I want to also, we were giving shout outs before to the team members. I want to give a shout out to the team that is tasked with developing the specific scents for each room, because think about what goes into actually making that and making it so accurate, right? Like there's definitely health code violations if you're using real human vomit. So the fact that they can recreate that somehow, and I will say that one was terrible. That stuck with me for. I thought that was worse than the Texas Chainsaw Maze. Which
well, wait, yeah, we'll get there.
we'll get to it. But
I
for me personally, like vomit is something, and I know with a lot of people this is also true. It just triggers that gag reflex and that senses. Thankfully, guys out there, if any of you have been to a baseball game, pro MLB before, you know how to mouth breathe in the bathrooms. So I was able to use this technique that's been taught down from male generation to male generation of mouth breathing in the restrooms to get through it. But one accidental breath through your nose, and that's it, you're done. And I couldn't even think about it for like the next hour without wanting to throw up. It was that bad. But
yeah, I think it got to the point
well done.
where I got to the point where I think some of the scent started sticking to us actually at some point, and I was
Oh
like,
God, in the car at the end, yeah.
yeah. Well, it also probably didn't help that we went on Jurassic World, kind of like got soaking wet on that, and then everything just smelled after that. Anyway, so moving on from there, we get off that, or we exit the maze, we get back on the trolley, we go down to the actual Terror Tram. Now, this year, the Terror Tram theme was Welcome to Blumhouse. I thought this was a home run. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you know anything about Blumhouse Pictures, you're going to enjoy it. There is Megan, there's The Black Phone, there's The Purge, and there's Happy Death Day, all down there at once. And what's cool, unlike other years, is that they dedicated certain parts of the backlot to it. So in one section, you're going through scenes of Megan. In another section, you're going through scenes of The Black Phone and the grabbers trying to grab you. Or you're going to go... we're gonna. I can't talk. We're gonna go through
the destruction zone for the Purge,
and that's the Purge. And what's cool about that I don't think many people realize is that like when you're doing the studio tour, they talk about it. But that plane that's right there is a real 737 Boeing.
47.
I don't know if that. I don't. What was 747? I thought 737. Whatever. All I know is that that's a very foreshadowing thing of what's going on with Boeing right now. Please don't get me down for that. But. But after you exit that, you exit the Purge. A perk that we got on the Rip Tour, I'll take that back. Everyone gets to do this. You go to the Psycho House. You walk up to the Psycho House. There's a photo op with Norman Bates. Being on the Rip Tour, you get to cut the line. But for us, since we were so early, there was no line. So you get a photo with Norman Bates, which is super fun, in front of the real Psycho House. After that, you continue on. And at the end, they had an exclusive experience just for a Rip Tour where there are more photo ops. So you go through this photo op with each of the IPs. So again, Megan, you get to take a picture with Megan, then she chases you out to the next room. Then you take a picture with the Black Phone guy. Then you take a picture with the Purge, and then you get out. Being on the Rip Tour, we also got exclusive access to the physical set of Nope, which was Jordan Peele's latest horror movie. They've done this in the past. This is the one part I think, in my opinion, that is so whatever. It's corny. Because if you go on the tram tour, it's the same thing. It's just audio of like what's supposed to be an alien attack, right? But in reality, it's like not. It's just like noise, and you're kind of confused. And then all of a sudden, there's this woman popping out, yelling at us. And then next thing I know, the tethered are showing up, and they have the whole us moment. So there's the us, the tethered people chasing us around for like 2 seconds, and then you get back on the tram, and we vamos, off we go. What was kind of cool though was that since we were on the tram, we didn't have to walk. Horror Nights in Hollywood is very, very spread out. I think when I was looking at my odometer on my phone afterwards, I think I told you I took 18,000 steps. That was
I
like
hit 20,000 that day. Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. It was a long. So for us, it was cool because they took us right to the lower lot, to the backside of the mazes, and that's where we did 4 other mazes. The first one we did down there was Eternal Bloodlines. This was Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, and this was basically Van Helsing's daughter coming back to kill Dracula it was Van Helsing and the Bride of Frankenstein coming to kill Dracula's daughter and her monsters. I know that Jeremy really enjoyed this one. There's a few reasons why. Jeremy, I'll let you kind of explain, then I'll give you my 2 cents.
Sure. So, first thing is, of course, and this has already been all over the media, Slash wrote the score to it. Y'all know I'm a film composer, and I'm a metalhead, so I heard that Slash did it, and I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting because he knows how to bring out some dark vibes with his guitar. And it didn't disappoint. I know that some other vloggers went through and they got to compare this one to the Orlando one. The Slash score is exclusive to Hollywood. So I don't know how it is out in Orlando.
I didn't know that. It's exclusive just to Hollywood? I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, it's exclusive to Hollywood. As far as I'm aware, at least according to some of the other vlogs I've watched. But I personally loved it. I think it's a very specific vibe. It's a very LA, very Hollywood kind of vibe, but it's a lot of fun. But that's not the real reason I loved it. That was just a cool thing that I enjoyed. The best part about the monsters, about Eternal Bloodlines, is that they put the maze inside of Universal Soundstage number 12. And for those of you who don't know, Universal Soundstage number 12 is the soundstage where they shot the original Dracula film, where they shot all the monster movies. Like that is the piece of Hollywood history. So to be able to walk through the maze inside of this space was just, I mean, again, we're all born and raised here in this group. You've got 3 unicorns right here, right? We're born and raised Angelinos. I've worked in the film space for 15 plus years. So has Jordan. Ben's worked adjacent to it. We all know people in the space. But for me, it doesn't matter how many films I've worked on, how many projects I get to go be a part of. Every time I'm on the set and I get to go somewhere like that, it's magic to me, right? It's just the coolest freaking thing. I mean, another movie that was shot in Stage 12, Jurassic Park. That's where that's where they shot the visitor center. Yeah, the visitor center was in Stage 12. And when you go inside, it is huge. It's like a 3-4 story building, but it's completely empty. It's just a shell and a soundstage.
I'm going to say this, what makes Hollywood's Horror Nights and Hollywood in general a different vibe than Orlando. And this is something that I've seen a lot of comments about. Oh, Orlando's so much better. This is so much better. I will argue that maybe you have more land in Orlando. I'm sure you do. But we in LA actually have a movie studio where if we take the tram tour, which for Orlando is individual attractions that are all on the tram tour in Hollywood, we actually all get the chance to actually run into a movie star on set. There are tons of examples of people on a tram tour where they have to be quiet because they're shooting, and it's typical. Going inside the soundstage is super cool. It's super unique. Not everyone gets to do it. The scale of that thing was awesome. The air conditioning inside it was awesome too. I was very happy about that because I was sweaty and that was a long walk to get all the way over there. Okay, so after that maze, that was a fun one too. I don't think it was super scary. Some good scares.
Yeah, it wasn't super scary. It was just a good story, and it was just good fun. I just wanted to, jump in with that again. Yeah, from what I'm hearing, Orlando mazes are scarier than Hollywood, but Hollywood has history. And like I said, you get to go to a Dracula maze where they shot the original Dracula, and that to me is just mind-bending. Yeah. The walk to it, though, this was a walk that if you're going to Horror Nights, doesn't matter if you're on the RIP tour or not, you're gonna be trekking because you have to go downstairs to the lot. You have to go back past Jurassic World, all the way past the line into the actual studio lot, and then walk over to the soundstage. And then to walk back to come back in, the entrance, it takes you right by Super Mario World. So you're basically coming back in through the side over there between Jurassic and Mario. So
Yep.
it is a bit of a trek to get to and from it, but I thought it was pretty worth it, even if it's just for the history alone.
Yeah. So after we did this maze, we hopped over to an original maze for this year. Again, these are all quote unquote originals. This was a new one just for this year. It's called Dead Exposure Death Valley. This one takes place with a lab gone bad. Some type of radioactive chemical gets loose and infects the monkeys. The monkeys then bite people, and then we interact with zombies. That's pretty much the best way to describe it. I think for me, this was probably the weakest maze. Now, Jeremy's going to argue differently on this one, and that's totally fine, and he explains why in the video a little bit. But to me, this one, in terms of actors being on break or just dead space inside the maze where we know there should be something, there was a lot of it. It's bizarre in some places, not like a trigger warning for animal cruelty, maybe a little bit, just because they are like experimenting on monkeys. You can see it, but it's not like you can. Like I said, it's a slight trigger warning. But I thought that one was kind of lackluster for me. Jeremy, I know you said you loved it because you love zombies. You get more into zombie creatures.
I enjoyed it, but I was bummed. And the reason I was bummed was because there were a lot of jump scare moments where the actors were on break, or perhaps they didn't have enough people hired yet to fill in those gaps. There were moments that I was waiting for I've been watching all the vlogs and just really getting excited for it. And there were moments that I was really looking forward to, like one where they're like grabbing the insides of one of the zombies or whatever. And that was just an empty room. Basically, it was just a cadaver laying there. And so there was a bunch of rooms in a row like that. So we were missing a lot of the jumps. Now I'm hoping that over the next couple of weeks, or maybe even by now, hopefully they've worked out a lot of those kinks and break times. But yeah, that one was disappointing just for that reason alone. But in general, I did think it was pretty cool because it wasn't like the Walking Dead zombies. It was more like walking through radioactive, 28 days later, like those kinds of zombies, but in like in a hospital like that.
You know what it kind of reminded me of, just thinking back on it? You guys remember that movie Mars Attacks? So, some of them with the brains out, now just thinking about it more, especially when they're in like their hazmat suit, definitely reminded me of the aliens because their brains are out. All we needed to play was some yodeling music and would have been funny. Okay, after this maze, we continued down the lower lot to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Legacy of Leatherface. Now, this is not an unfamiliar property to Horror Nights. What makes this one different this year is that they incorporated the entire timeline of every Texas Chainsaw movie. What that means is the maze starts at the beginning of the franchise and goes to the last scenes, the latest movie. I have never seen, I'm like positive, I've never seen one of these movies all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces of them. I'm not the biggest slasher fan in the world. That's not my cup of tea. So going into this, I was already a little bit like, well, let's see. It's an enclosed maze with chainsaws and cannibals. What could go wrong? And let's talk about the smell. This maze was smelly.
From start to finish, too. It wasn't like Insidious where it was just one room. Yeah. This was the whole thing from start to finish. And it gets worse as you go on.
Yeah, and I would say this one, I think Jeremy and I laughed at the most just because Leatherface, I mean, he's a scary villain. but at the end of the day, it's like, you're looking at this thing and you're kind of just laughing because the guy looks like, with the lipstick on. I don't know, man. It's weird, okay? It's a weird-looking dude. And the best scenes are we come around a corner and Leatherface has this, like, body on a table and he rips off the face and puts it on his face. And then it's just like we're both like, whoa, okay. And first of all, great A. John Murdy did a heck of a job. John Murdy's the creative director for Horror Nights, by the way. He did a great job with this maze. I thought it was amazing. Really fun. Hats off to him. Great creativity there.
Was there a Matthew McConaughey actor for his role in
that? I couldn't tell you. No one was talking about Matthew McConaughey, so I don't know.
I was hoping there'd be an impression.
This one was just super fun. This was probably the second popular maze, I would say. I was looking at wait times throughout the night. This probably was the second most popular. Long line. In fact, so like comparing lines again to the Rip Tour, when we went down to it, the line was about 45 minutes. Our wait was about 5 minutes. Something else that was kind of unique, because I'm a theme park geek and this was intriguing to me, there was definitely issues going on in the maze because right in front of us when they're pulsing it, one of the techs from Universal was in front of us with a giant iPad going through the maze and checking like sound levels and lighting levels. And I was like, that's so cool that like, again, the theme park geek in me is like, I want to pay attention to the maze, but oh, let me see your iPad, man. I kind of want to check out like the behind the scenes stuff. Now, the last maze on the lower lot is The Weeknd. This is his third year being at Horror Nights.
But I didn't get to talk about Texas Chainsaw. Hang on a second. That was my favorite maze of the night.
No,
yeah.
Sorry. Keep going.
Take a breath, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing I loved about it is, first of all, when you get there, they have a guy with like was he wearing a cow's mask on top, just standing in the cage, like greeting you as you go in. The other thing that Ben didn't mention yet is that what they did, and the reason why this was such a unique version of Texas Chainsaw, was in all the films, they've referenced the slaughterhouse, but they've never actually shown it. So they built an original storyline based on the slaughterhouse, and they've put you into the slaughterhouse. So you actually get to walk through the family slaughterhouse on the farm, as opposed to going through the house. So it was really unique in that way, and that's why it smells so bad, is they wanted to recreate the smells of a slaughterhouse of like human blood and pig blood, and it was gross, but it was really well done. And it was one of the few mazes where there was almost no dead space, pun intended. But it was, you could walk around and every corner had someone jumping at you, had a chainsaw coming at you. It was just constant and nonstop. It was a lot of fun. You go around one corner and you'll see Ben's going, oh, I don't like this, which, by the way, we need to have an I don't like this counter and an I'm sweating counter. I don't like this gets you 1 point. I'm sweating gets you 3 points. And we go through it, and there's just skin dangling. It's supposed to be like human skin dangling from the ceiling, and you're like walking through it. Yeah, that was one of the moments where Ben's like, oh, I don't like this. But I thought it was hysterical. For me, I laugh at these kinds of things. It's like a defense mechanism, but I've always enjoyed Halloween. I've always enjoyed horror movies. This stuff just makes it like is fun for me. So when I'm laughing, it's because I'm just having a good time with it. But yeah, I thought that one was fun. I don't know how to explain it. It was so much fun.
It was a good job. They did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
Jeremy said dead space. Jeremy has a point there. Something that my sister does not like about Universal that Knott's does really well is that in Universal there are tons of places where like there's a scene and then a corner of just darkness through something and then another scene where it's weird. It's like there's not cohesiveness at times. So it's like a lot of like, maybe they do it on purpose to make you uneasy. Who knows? Or maybe they just, I don't know. Knott's does it differently, and I'll get into that another time. I'm going to keep it going. So the last maze on the lower lot was The Weeknd. His third year at Horror Nights. This maze incorporated basically a little bit of everything from the past couple years. The soundtrack to the maze is obviously The Weeknd's music. This had the best facade, in my opinion. When you get inside, this is on a soundstage also. When you get inside, it's just stunning. There's an older version of The Weeknd DJing, and it's super cool. This one was one of the more wacky mazes, in my opinion, too. Not super scary by any means. Just weird, though. Very weird. There's one scene where like there were hands. There's supposed to be a scare, like hands on the wall, like the labyrinth, if you've seen that. And there's supposed to be a scare actor there. There wasn't. Again, someone was on break. But that makes more sense to me if there was the actor there, because I was like, what is this? And it was just, it was
demonic babies. There was like a ton of demonic babies, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was weird. Like I said, this one wasn't super scary, but it was campy in places. And according to our tour guide, because again, with the RIP, we go right to the front. 2 years ago, when she first started working there, she told us that this was the longest line at 300 minutes. And that's crazy. Like, to me, and this is where I break down a little bit in the video, the cost of RIP or the cost of an express pass for an event like Horror Nights just makes sense. These lines balloon very quickly. And then a 5-minute experience now turns into like waiting in line for 2 to 3 hours. It's kind of crazy. Jeremy, any thoughts on The Weeknd's maze?
I thought it was good fun. Like, Universal, what they do really well is lighting and effects. Like they're so good. And we'll get into that with Quiet Place when we get to that. That one was mind-blowingly awesome. But the Weeknd one was kind of weird. It was cool that like the music's in there because you can like, dance to The Weeknd while someone's jumping at you around the corner. Like there was the one where the eyeball just jumped through the big window and we were like, oh God, what was that? And then you go in and there's a room with people standing with little eyeball costumes, and there count the I don't like this on Ben on that one again. But it was really good. That one I think got me too. Yeah, you did.
Whatever, man. There's a lot about that night that I'm gone.
It was good. It's good. Bottom line is like we're critiquing, we're giving you our thoughts, but it's at the end of the day, it's good fun, and that's really all you can ask for with this. I mean, that's not true. You could ask it to scare the crap out of you a little bit more, I think, But I did think it was fun. I think it was missing some of the effects. Oh, the room I wanted to see in the weekend was where the weekend is laying down on the table and there's a chainsaw going, like a table saw, and there's supposed to be someone in that room moving the weekend back and forth and like slicing him in half, but the table saw was off and the cadaver was just laying on the table and there was no actor in that room. So I was kind of bummed. That was probably the one room I was really looking forward to in the weekend.
Well, good thing there's vlogs out there like ours. All right, so going up to the upper lot, because there's lots of walking at this place, man. There's 2 mazes on the upper lot. We're going to start with Monstro.
Wait, did you guys get back on the bus to go up to the top, though?
No. So the Terror Tram is only the lower lot, so it takes you from point A to point B.
Mid-low, yeah.
Yeah. So let's start with Monstros. This is Monstros 2 or 2. And this is the monsters are the nightmares of Latin America. I think this is super creative. This was such a popular maze last year that they introduced it this year on the East Coast. So Orlando, take that. You took one of our mazes. You're welcome.
I mean, as someone who just watched your guys' walkthroughs, this looked like the best maze to me.
It was really good.
So here's the thing with this one. Almost identical to last year in layout. I mean, it was the same layout in my mind. This one combines open air with enclosed air, which I appreciate because this is another smelly one. And what's cool is that, like, coming from like my culture and my background, there's not a lot about the scary, spooky stuff that I know about Latin America, right? I don't know about you, Jeremy. I don't know this stuff. So it's cool because you're walking through and it's not like I'm learning, but I am learning. And it's cool to see another culture at the same time. Definitely some really good scares in there. Definitely some really cool puppets, really big in your face at the end. I think Jeremy makes a comment actually being like, oh, that's pretty good. Or something like that. He's like, you call it an animatronic. I'm like, it's a puppet. It's not whatever. I got technical in my head and I'm like, you're wrong.
I remember there was one where we go outside and I'm like looking, this guy comes out from around the corner. I was like, oh God, you go, oh my God, look up there. And there's like a demon creature thing, just like it was a puppet or whatever, just like hanging over the building looking down at you, and it's like, oh, that is creepy, and walking back inside. And this one was I didn't come last year. I haven't been in a long time since kids, so this is my first time going in a long time, and I was not disappointed. Monstrous was that was fun. That was a really good
So I'm going to cover really quickly just really what the monsters were so people know, because this maze broke down different monsters, and each part of the maze, it would show you like this poster of what you're about to encounter. So it started with El Charro, and that was the Infernal Rider. So it's like a bandito type of character, offers you gold for your soul type of thing. That's kind of the premise I got of his backstory. Then you get to the Devil Dog, El Cadejo, which honestly, that was pretty terrifying. They made him look very scary, very smelly. And then they have the boogeyman, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, so please correct me if I'm wrong, El Cuso? Butchering it, I apologize.
Jacques Cousteau.
Yeah. But it was super cool. Again, one of the mazes that people loved so much last year that they brought it back for a revamped version of it this year. Now, the last maze that we're going to talk about, the only maze left, is A Quiet Place. And what is cool about this one, it takes place where the former Walking Dead attraction was that was year-round. This is on both coasts, same with Insidious and same with Monstros. Those share on both and Ghostbusters, all on both coasts. So each park does get a few originals that are exclusive to their proper parks. A Quiet Place isn't scary. I'm going to say that right now. Not a scary maze. However, if you're a fan of the franchise, the sound design is off the chart. The whole premise is not to scare, right? These monsters are attracted to sound. This is also a first for Universal, and I'm not sure if it's any maze out there, but at least for Universal, where they used ASL actors to do everything. There is no talking. Again, the premise is you can't talk because they hear you. This follows the first two movies, not the latest one that was day one. This follows the first two movies, and these monsters kind of pop out of everywhere. And these are giant puppets. These aren't people in costumes. They are full scale. And to see them bring it to life is super, super awesome. I thought that they did a great job. Pulsing on these mazes is probably the killer of these mazes. And by pulsing, I mean how many people they let in at a time. Obviously, the scares aren't going to work if it's just a constant stream of people, so you have to kind of space it. This one, for me, definitely had the worst pacing. Definitely had the most crowd where everyone was just jamming in. Not a lot of screams. A lot of people, I think, were just enjoying the atmosphere of the actual maze, which was kind of cool. So yeah, that is A Quiet Place, and that rounds out all the mazes. Again, if you are not doing Express and you're just doing a No Rip Tour and you're just going to wait in line, get there early. Like, I would say, just thinking, do the lower lot first and work your way back up, probably. Go as far as you can down to work your way back up. You can start at the top and do that too. Whatever your preference is, you're going to go to your favorite IP probably. And that's the thing with Universal that I think makes them stand out, right? If you were to look at this lineup of houses, I mean, let's count them really quick. You had Quiet Place, you had Ghostbusters, Insidious, Monsters Unleashed, and then I'm missing one. Texas Chainsaw. Is that what other ones am I missing? That's an IP.
The zombie one.
Oh yeah,
That's what I said. That's Monsters. So what? 5 out of the the Weekend.
The zombie
6.
one.
No, that's original. That's original. So out of the 8 houses, 6 of these are basically IP focused, like heavily. And when you go to like other parks for scares and whatnot, that's not the case. And like I went to Scary Farm recently, and I will hopefully. I live streamed some of that, and it was cool. But again, every single maze is original. It's a super different vibe. Dare I say I like Scary Farm more? Ooh, that's
I'm sure.
It's just different, and the crowd's different.
Pin in that one.
Yeah, I'll put a pin on that one for now. But the vibe's very different. The crowd's different. It's just a different experience altogether. Horror Nights is loud. Let's get into the scare zones, because these scare zones, compared to, again, not Scary Farm, are very different also. But there were 4 scare zones in total. I'm going to say them really quick, then we'll dive into each one. The first one is Skull Lords when you first enter the park. Skull Lords when you first enter the park. That's like the opening of the Horror Nights. Then it goes Chainsaw Punks. Then you kind of hit a fork. You can either go to Murder of Crows, or you can go to Luchadores Monstruosos. I said that wrong too, but the Luchadores, like zombies. I know that Jeremy loved the Skull Lords. It's right at the opening. That's where they did the opening ceremony. Look, it's cool.
Can we talk about it?
You can talk about it.
Okay. So I seem to remember last time I came, this is where they would like run at you and slide on the ground with the knee pads and everything. And they didn't do that this year. The thing that got me most excited is my punk rock metal background, right? You know, it's getting to see the Mohawks again in the leather jackets. That was fun with the chainsaws. It was a different look, and I really enjoyed that. However, the video game nerd in me really got excited when they did the whole countdown on the show, and the music starts kicking, and they're playing Mick Gordon's Doom soundtrack from 2016, and they're just blasting it at Universal, and it's like, yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to hear a little rip and tear, right? Like, yes, that made me excited.
Just because people are gonna not know, like me, are you talking about they did a soundtrack from a Doom movie?
From the game, the video. So, you know, there's the original game from the 90s. They rebooted it in 2016 with Bethesda. Mick Gordon is one of the top game composers in the world. He's out of Australia. He did the reboot of Wolfenstein. He did the reboot of Doom. I mean, he's an incredible producer. He works with Bring Me the Horizon, Architects, tons of other metal bands. But he's incredible synth orchestrator and composer. what was I going to say? I got to see him speak at the Game Developers Conference in 2017, where he did an hour-long lecture on his score to Doom. If you've been to GDC, you can check it out in the GDC vault. It is one of the best talks I ever got to witness. It was standing room only. It was packed. His following for a composer is pretty wild. So being able to just hear 9-string guitars blaring in like polyrhythms in Universal Studios, please everyone check it out if you can. It is good fun.
And
You can
Google half the things Jeremy said, because I have no idea what a polyrhythm is.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna speed this up just a little bit because there's a few more things we need to get through. So then we have Chainsaw Punks, which again feeds right into the Skull Lords. They're kind of go hand in hand. Jeremy was talking about the punk scene right there. These are the guys running around with like giant chainsaws in your face. It's very scary, very whatever. They stopped sliding this year. Scary Farm has sliders though. Just gonna say that. This one does not. Then you have these two sections, like I said, Murder of Crows, which in all honesty is a circle of crows. It's literally in front of Harry Potter, and that's it. What was cool about that is there's this baby animatronic crow that's kind of like fun to play with and look at. And then there's like these scare actors literally going in a circle, and 2 stilt walkers, which was kind of cool. And then you have the Luchadores Monstros, which are just fun because if you like Luchadores wrestling, you get to see like zombie versions of them, which is kind of fun. Nothing in these scare zones stands out to me as like super scary. I would say that the best one is the Luchadores one because that's the only one that really puts fog into effect where you can't see the scare actors coming at you. The rest of these is pretty like just lighting and you can see everything. So if you're looking for a scare, go to Luchadores. It's next to Monstros. Right when you get out of Monstros, you exit into it actually. So it pairs perfectly. So if you think that you're done after the maze, you're not. They can still jump at you right when you get out. There are 2 shows that we didn't get to go to. Just because of timing. There's the Purge Dangerous Waters, which returns from last year. It's basically Waterworld with a Purge overlay and a story about that. I mean, that's the best way of saying it. Really fun, though. Really high octane. Really fun stunt show. Lots of like spitting and gore and blah, blah, blah. And the other one we didn't get to do was Late Night with Chucky, which I read a lot of reviews on, and this is why I was kind of on the fence about it. That was an interactive show where you got to write questions for Chucky, and there was a like puppet of Chucky with like a voice actor. He would answer maybe 3 or 4 questions, and then it became a marketing piece for the Chucky show. I didn't think it was worth it to do that. I'd rather spend my time in the scare zones and walking around. To recap really quickly, Horror Nights is great. Thought this year was super fun. I will never do Horror Nights without doing the Rip Tour Express. That's just my personal feeling on it. Something else that Jeremy and I got to do, which was kind of cool, and only the Rip Tour got to do this, we got to go to Mario Land, which is closed off to the rest of the park. So another perk of Rip Tour is that we got to go to Mario Land with no one in it, a walk-on for Mario Kart, which never happens.
It wasn't just a walk-on, really quickly. It wasn't just a walk-on. They skipped the pre-show. All the doors were open. We literally walked on, went straight down the stairs, and sat on the car. It was we were in and out of that in 5 minutes. It was incredible.
And you came out more disappointed than you were going in, right?
I love that ride.
I will never wait for that ride again, to be honest with you. I think that in concept,
I can tell these 2 aren't gamers, by the way, because I love that ride.
Actually, Jordan's a huge gamer. I don't know what you're talking about. That was a horrible statement. Jordan, and I'm a gamer. I just don't play the same game. I play Roller Coaster Tycoon. No shock there. I play
tons of Mario. I don't know where a hologram slow cart ride relates to Mario.
Yeah. The only cool thing about that ride is the augmented reality. I think that's cool. They nailed it there. But even then, if you have to go on that ride like I think they did. You have to go on that ride like 3 or 4 times to get the gist of it. This was my 3rd or 4th time on it actually, and I won for the first time. I'll put it that way. So that wraps up Horror Nights in a thing. It goes till end of October / early November. Any last thoughts, guys, before we go?
Yeah, the last thing for me, I'd love to just chat about some of the rides really quickly. Mummy is always fun, and again, one of the perks of the Rip Tours is that you get to use that pass to continuously go back on all the rides, and you can skip all the lines, and it's really great. I am really sad that they're not doing the Halloween overlays for Jurassic World, and I don't know if they stopped the overlay after they switched it to Jurassic World from Jurassic Park. But it used to be They shut the lights off on the downstairs portion of the ride. Then it would go up to the building and they'd be playing, was it Guns N' Roses, I think, up at the top with the lights dark and a different light show. And it was really cool. I really miss that. I really hope that they can bring back some sort of scary overlay, even if it's just for Horror Nights.
I'm sure it's because, honestly, this version of Jurassic World is the best version that Jurassic Park's ever had. So
yeah. You know what, dude? Hey, I just did a quick Google while you're saying that. What you're talking about. Do you know how old you are?
I know how old I am. How old was I back then?
Over 14 years.
Is it that long ago?
Yes.
That's when they stopped it?
14 years is when it debuted, at least.
No, that's when it debuted. No, it went for a long time.
It did? I think that's...
I thought so.
I
don't remember this even ever being a thing, to be honest with you. So the fact that you were adamant about that, I guess you're right. I don't remember that. So yeah, we got to do Mommy. We did Jurassic World. Those rides are open. The Simpsons is open. That's about it in terms of attractions. Again, they're really pushing you through the mazes. Oh, Harry Potter Land both rides are open too. Those rides are a walk-on almost, actually. So if you are looking to go on Harry Potter and you haven't had a chance, Horror Nights is a great time to do it. They do a dark projection, like evil. What are they called? Death Eaters, but it's like
yeah.
Well, they need to bring back the Death Eaters.
But you guys, just so people know, you guys went in September on a weekday, which is the best time to experience this whole thing.
This is also
October is going to be a very different thing. The weekend is, all the more reason to get the RIP Tour pass, right?
Yeah. In the video, I hope that you'll hear me give my slight review of the entire night, if we can show that. And I give the rundown of that. Very, very to the point. Yes, we went early in September, right when the event started. As it gets closer to October, it's going to ramp up. People are going to get busy. People are going to get crazy. The price is also going to increase. By the time that you watch this episode, every single RIP Tour will be booked probably as well, leaving you only with Express if you want to do that. I can't guarantee that, but my gut tells me that because when I booked my RIP Tour, they were already almost sold out for like the dates I wanted. And something tells me that they'll just be sold out. But anyway, guys, we hope that you enjoyed this episode. As always, if there's something that you want to see, leave it in the comments for us. We are very open to feedback, anything that you want. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, smash that notification button.
Ring that bell.
Ring that bell. I got Jeremy converted to Oreo Coke, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. Jeremy, give us a quick analysis of the cookie.
Well, I've got the cookie and I've got the Coke. So they've got Oreo flavored Coke and they've got Coke flavored Oreo. So the Coke soda, I'm sure you've noticed, I've been drinking this thing throughout the episode, and the first sip was like weird. It was like weird to wrap my brain around, but it's kind of good. It's better when it's cold.
Yeah, I think the warmer it gets, the worse it gets.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. It was good when it came out of the fridge, but now we've been sitting in here for an hour and a half. But the cookie, look at this thing. Coke on one side, Oreo on the other, popping candy inside the cream. Let's give it a shot.
Oh, man. That just... I don't know. I can imagine like Coke gummies are good. Maybe this is good.
Gummies in general are good,
Yeah, well, this is family friendly, but yeah, gummies, Gushers, all those things, so good.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's kind of strange because it totally tastes like Coke. Like it's literally Coke flavor injected into an Oreo.
It's weird.
It's weird, but it's not bad.
There are some weird things out there.
On inside of the Oreos. I love when Oreo does that.
I'll leave you with this.
Wait, I have one thing to ask.
Sure.
Candy cigarette or Coke Oreo?
Coke Oreo.
Coke Oreo too, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You will not give me $1 million to
and
give
Oreo
me a
Coke over
candy cigarette.
Yeah. Okay.
My closing thought is this for everyone: just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Just saying that. So until next time, we'll see you guys next time.
Dun, 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 dun.